Hi, this is a little video to empower you to learn accents, to teach yourself different dialects, different accents, if you want. So I like to break them down into 4 different steps. 1, you have to be fascinated. Interest doesn't cut it. Interest is great, you can watch this and be interested and that's great. But unless you're fascinated by people and what makes them tick and what makes them sound the way they do, then you won't really pay attention and observe and analyse and practice. Repeat. So within that, for accents, I break it down into 5 different, very broad categories. And you can, each one of them has subcategories forever. You can study forever if you want. But for the interest of time, what I recommend is that you find the one that the angle that you're most fascinated with and start there. And then just, as you learn more, expand it out to include the other categories. So, number 1, we have the actual pronunciation of the consonants and vowels. So in English, we have A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Because that's a rule. But depending on where you're from, who you are, how you feel, who you're talking to, you will say those same exact 5 letters, sometimes 5 letters, in different ways. So is AW pronounced ah or O? Yes. Is it, there are as many different ways to pronounce these things and pronounce combinations of letters as there are times they will ever be spoken. So paying attention to that, to how the sound is produced, to the actual physical apparatus of the breath and the mouth and the tongue and all of that. And then there are letter combinations such as TH, that may not exist in another language. So if you're trying to do a French accent, the more you study that language, you learn things like they don't have TH. So instead of th, one might substitute s, z, this, that. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll pick up the TH right off, or maybe they'll substitute it with a D, or you don't have to be foreign to say things. Things and people. So I just did an F for a TH sound. Paying attention to things like that. That's number 1. The melody of the line. If you're most fascinated with the melody of the line, for example. You can start there. Pay attention to the melodic patterns that different people and different areas of the globe adopt. So if, for example, I say, would you care for some tea? Yeah. In an American pronunciation of the vowels and consonants, would you care for some tea? It's just a bit weird, And different people pronounce things differently, You might find someone whose lips just kind of bounce around. And so that might be really fascinating to you. Like, wow, look at how their lips are just like bouncing around. Or like, in Australian, I often think of it like you're chewing a lot of gum, It's like the sounds, you're chewing the sounds. So if the actual pronunciation of those sounds is the most, and I just went, duh, that's a melodic pattern. Ha 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 ha, fascinating. So number 3, rhythm and stress. Now every accent has a rhythm. Every person has a rhythm. You have your own style, your own sense of fluidity or not fluidity, depending. But I also take out stress, because if you don't lean on something, you don't miss something. Sometimes you gotta find where the groove is. You gotta find where to lean on something. If you're studying Italian and you see the word bene and you say, okay, bene, that's bene. No, it's bene. If you don't say bene, if you don't lean on the first bene, it's not Italian. It's bene somewhere, but not in Italy. Yeah? So rhythm and stress.